again, these are 1-minute questions, and these are submitted by either members of the media, members of law enforcement, members of the audience, and so forth. And again, this will be, I believe, Kevin Faulkner was turn to go first on this one. The question is, the San Diego Police Department, as well as the SDPOA, support a 5-year plan to begin the process of rebuilding the department in areas most impacted by past budget reductions. It calls for the city to make $60 million in investments in additional staffing and equipment. So state your opinion as to whether this plan should be supported and implemented before the city addresses the uncompetitive compensation provided to officers, which is negatively impacting its ability to recruit and retain officers.
Yep. I support the 5-year plan, and I support increasing our compensation. That's part of my plan that I talked about on recruitment and retention. And particularly when we look at, it's compensation, Mark, to get there, make sure we're at a level that is par so we're not losing that. And as I said before, in an era of limited dollars, you need to know that you're going to have a mayor that is going to be extremely clear about that. When the other unions and associations are going to say, we want exactly the same, you're going to have a mayor that tells you directly, no, our priority right now is with the San Diego Police Department. The other associations do not have the same problems that we are having as a San Diego Police Department. I will stand up not only on that when it comes to compensation, but as I also talked about earlier, when I want to support the department on our equipment needs. That Sprint contract came before us the other day at committee. The modems aren't working, not working on your emergency button and others, and yet the staff wanted to say, we want to go forward with it anyway. No, thank you. We said no, and I'm going to make sure I always support the department on the equipment needs that it has.
Yeah, 7 years after we started seeing the erosion and decimation of our department, I'm glad we have a 5-year plan. But the reality is it's not even a 5-year plan. It's about a 3.5-year plan because it's been sitting there for a 1.5 years. 15 months ago, it was brought forward, and the council has yet to have a full hearing with the full council to adopt it and fund it. And so having a plan is fine, but I think what you need in a mayor is someone who has a demonstrated track record of actually delivering. And I pointed that out earlier, the multiple pieces of legislation I've authored, working with the San Diego Police Officers Association, working with our statewide law enforcement organizations, working with others to actually go find the money to make sure that things we're doing happen. Which is why I'm honored to say that I was the Legislator of the Year for the probation officers, for the Deputy District Attorneys Association, for Crime Victims United, for PORAC, which represents hundreds of law enforcement organizations around the state. Because I not only have a plan to help us get there, but I have a demonstrated track record of being there with you day in and day out. And not only saying this is our highest priority, but have a record to support that. Thank you.
In 2008, we had a plan. We went to the RAND Corporation. They made a bunch of recommendations. We didn't really implement them, and now we have a new plan. It's what I call a pie-in-the-sky plan. You can't spend $275 million of a $1.25 billion budget, $50 million of which is actually for pension, and the rest of it's for all past due, and then turn around and say, gee, we're going to have plenty of money to add on more people. There's not enough money in the system to do that. The reason I said that we needed to curve back some of our benefits is so that we could have more for the future and not spend so much for the past. Those decisions were made. But what we have to do now is work together. What the problems that the San Diego Police Department is facing with retentions are being faced all over the country. And one of the things we should do, and I intend to do as mayor, is to retain the RAND Corporation to help us come up with a criteria for our new chief and a criteria for how we're going to replace the department, because all of our baby boomers are retiring. There's nothing unique or unusual about that. And what we need to do is to do a better job of sizing up the problem and then all working together as a community to resolve those problems honestly and with fidelity.
There's a lot of trashing of the 5-year plan going on here on stage today. And I have to tell you that my colleague and chair of the Public Safety Committee would not be happy. Councilmember Emerald, who's been a champion on public safety issues, proud to have her endorsement, she would not be happy because we're claiming that we're not doing anything. And in fact, we're doing completely the opposite. We had a culture of secrecy under previous administrations where the chief wasn't even allowed to speak to the council about what was going on in the department. And so it was very challenging and it was very difficult for us as council members, even though we asked the questions, to get the answers about what our department needed. It wasn't until the very end of the Sanders administration that we started to actually get information about what the police department needed. I remember Chief sitting in front of the committee saying, we've got some issues. And so we've got to be more open, more transparent. We've got to talk and communicate with our department to ensure that we actually do the things that need to happen to move forward so that we can have the real plan, which, again, you don't need all these special plans. We know what it is. People are going to stay and work here if we actually pay them what they deserve to be paid.
All right, thank you.